everyone, I will be discussing about the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers, otherwise known as Republic Act number 4670, which was enacted on June 18, 1966. I will be discussing section 1 to 10, but before I'm going to discuss to the core of this act, let me pose this question. What is a Magna Carta? Accordingly, this is a document that constitutes the fundamental rights and privileges of an individual. Hence, in relation to our topic today, RA 4670 protects the public teachers in our country. This act envisioned to provide programs for the promotion and improvement of the well-being and economic status of public school teachers. That's the content of Section 1 of the Act, the Declaration of Policy. That is to promote and improve the social and economic status of public school teachers, their living and working conditions, their terms of employment and career prospects, in order that they may compare favorably with existing opportunities in other walks of life. This section specifically encourage or attract teachers to retain in the teaching profession. Further, it motivates more people to seek proper qualifications to be a teacher and to advance in education. Finally, Section 1 clearly states the recognition that education is an essential factor in the economic growth of the nation as a productive investment of vital importance. That's why the starting salary of a teacher in the government is salary grade 11, which is quite high or attractive compared to other professionals in other government agencies. That's all for this section 1. Now let's move on to section number 2. The title definition of this act. It shall be known as the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers, and it shall apply to all public school teachers but except those in the professional staff of state colleges and universities. How does this act defines the term teacher? The term teacher used in this act pertain to all persons engaged in classroom teaching in any level of instruction on full-time basis, including those guidance counselors, school librarians, industrial arts or vocational instructors, and all other persons performing supervisory and or administrative functions in all schools, colleges, and universities operated by the government or its political subdivisions. But it shall not include those school nurses, school physicians, school dentists, and other school employees. How about section number 3? The recruitment and qualification. Recruitment policy with respect to the selection and appointment of teachers shall be clearly defined by the Department of Education. It is important to note that upon the approval of this act, minimum educational qualifications for teacher applicants are set. For example, for teachers in the kindergarten and elementary grades, teacher applicant must be a graduate of bachelor's degree in elementary education or BSE Ed. Alright? For teachers of the secondary schools, bachelor's degree in education or its equivalent with a major and a minor, or a graduate of bachelor's degree in arts or sciences or BSA, take note please, with at least 18 professional units in education. For teachers of secondary vocational and 2-year technical courses, bachelor's degree in the field of specialization with at least 18 professional units in education. And finally, for teachers of courses on the collegiate level other than vocational, master's degree with a specific area of specialization. Alright, that's about the minimum educational qualifications for teacher applicants. What if there are no applicants who possess the minimum educational qualifications? What's the remedy? The school superintendent may appoint under a temporary status applicants who do not meet the minimum qualifications, but provided that said teacher applicants are required to take competitive examinations. Further, preference in making appointments shall be in the order of their respective ranks or their ranking in the said competitive examinations, and provided finally, the results of the examinations shall be made public, and every applicant shall be furnished with his score and rank in the said examinations. So in other words, there is a transparency. Now let's move on to section number 4, probationary period. What it is all about. It pertains to the appointment status given to teacher applicant who possesses the minimum educational qualifications presented in section 3 but lacks the appropriate civil service eligibility. The teacher shall be appointed on a provisional status for how long? For not less than 1 year from and after the date of his provisional appointment. Section 5. Tenure of office. It gave emphasis to the stability on employment and security of tenure to the teachers as provided under existing laws. Subject to the provisions of Section 3 that I discussed a while ago, the recruitment and qualifications, teachers appointed on a provisional status for lack of necessary civil service eligibility shall be extended permanent appointment for the position he is holding after having rendered at least 10 years of continuous, efficient, and faithful service in such position. Section 6. Consent for transportation expenses. General rule is that no teacher shall be transferred without his consent from one station to another. But what if there is an exigency of the service required the transfer of teacher from one station to another? Then that's justified the possible transfer, provided that is affected by a school superintendent that who shall previously notify the teacher concerned of the transfer as well as its reason or reasons. What if the teacher believes that there is no such justification for the transfer? What is the remedy? He or she may appeal the case to the Director of Public Schools or the Director of Vocational Education as the case may be. Pending his appeal and the decision thereon, his transfer shall be held in abeyance, so he will not be transferred yet. Further, no transfer shall be made 3 months before any local or national election. How about the necessary transfer expenses of the teacher and his family? Who shall bear or shoulder the expenses? It shall be paid by the government if his transfer is finally approved. Section 7. Okay, it's about the Code of Professional Conduct for Teachers. The Secretary of Education was mandated to formulate and prepare a Code of Professional Conduct for public school teachers within 6 months from approval of this Act, wherein a copy of this code shall be given or furnished to its teacher. But if due to inadequate fiscal resources of the Department of Education, at least 3 copies only of the same code shall be deposited within the office of the school principal or head teacher where they may be accessible for use of the teachers. Now let's proceed to section number 8, safeguards and disciplinary procedure. This is relative to the case when a teacher receives a complaint. Every teacher shall enjoy equitable safeguards at its stage of any disciplinary procedure and shall have, first, the right to be informed in writing of the charges and not only in verbal. Second, the right to full access to the evidence in the case. Third, the right to defend himself and to be defended by a representative of his choice and or by his organization. And he is also given adequate time for the preparation of his defense. And lastly, the right to appeal to clearly designated authorities. No publicity shall be given to any disciplinary action being taken against a teacher during the pendency of his case. Section 9 is about the administrative charges. Administrative charges against a teacher shall be heard initially by whom? By a committee composed of the corresponding school superintendent of the division or a duly authorized representative who should at least have the rank of a division supervisor where the teacher belongs, as chairman. A representative of the local or, in its absence, any existing provincial or national teachers organization and a supervisor of the division, the last two to be designated by the Director of Public Schools. The committee shall submit its findings and recommendations to the Director of Public Schools For how long? What's the duration? Within 30 days from the termination of the hearings. Provided, however, that where the school superintendent is the complainant or the interested party, all the members of the committee shall be appointed by the Secretary of Education. Last section that I will be discussing, section 10, no discrimination. There shall be no discrimination whatsoever in entrance to the teaching profession or during its exercise or in the termination of these services based on other than professional consideration. Hope that we learn together. Thank you so much for listening.